Trumpet Swan Productions. Has having your own label changed your creative process at all?
Yeah. Well, it's made me... There was a huge amount of fear at first leaving Sony, and that was a huge step for me because I'm not a businesswoman, and I knew, and I don't say that like glibly. I really mean it. I don't like that part of the music business. I would rather sell oranges than sell my music because I'm so intimate with my music. So how to market it has always been a source of incredible frustration for me. Even on the internet, like making a video and releasing it, it takes so much mental and emotional toll on me because I don't really want to do it. I just want it to be done. And someone to come to a show, it's so difficult, the marketing aspect. You know why? Because it's such a private process of making a song, and then to say, look at me, look at me, look at me, isn't this great? It's just the antithesis of most artists, but, everyone just has to swallow the pill, and that's what we do. So anyways, leaving Sony was scary for me because I knew that I wasn't a marketer, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get out there if someone wasn't pushing me out there. But I also knew I had to survive because Sony wanted to do to me what they did to so many artists at the time, was they wanted me to start writing with 10 producers in a room because the whole business model had changed. And they said, literally to my face, there is no place for singer-songwriters anymore. We cannot sell singer-songwriters. It's not our business model. You have to get in a room with 10 producers or 5 songwriters, and that's what you have to do. And then I said, well, then why do you need me?
Right.
That's not what I'm giving to the world. I didn't get it. It's profound to look back and see that I was really serious. I fought the good fight, Walker. I fought for artists. I fought for the individual, and I'm still doing that. But now it doesn't matter so much because it's like the tsunami came.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying the tsunami's coming, and all you singer-songwriters, you're going to have to be erased, and blah, 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 and society's changing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like Ron Paul out there with nobody listening. Luckily, he's getting heard now, but you know what I'm saying? I wasn't wrong, and I said to Gigi going to the premiere of New Year's Eve, and I saw some ad, and I said, I really get mad at myself that I left Sony. I get mad that I couldn't conform. I get mad that I couldn't just want to be famous and do all that and have it be easy. But on the other hand, I said to her, I really did fight for something worthwhile. Look at the world. It's crap. There's so much crap out there.
Yeah.
And every time there's something good, they make that person become somebody else.
Well, you chose to have integrity, and it is not easy to have integrity and to stand up for what you believe in.
You're right, Walker, and it's never been easy in any era. And in every era, in every generation, there's a few people who sound the alarm. And when you look over time, you go, it's really worth it that those people did. Because really, human beings have a tendency to become sheep.
I find this so fascinating. Of course, I have no idea what it's like to be a songwriter and to be beholden to the parameters of a record label. And I think most people don't know what it's like to be a songwriter and to be beholden to the parameters of a record label. So I'm wondering what was that like on a practical level? Was it hard to block them out? Did you have to pretend they didn't exist so that you could be completely uninhibited in your work?
Oh, I understand your question from before better now. Yes. What's interesting? It takes years to get over the kind of shame that you have, because what the record label does is they love you, of course, to woo you. I had 7 record labels after me. I had all of them after me, and I chose Sony because I thought they had Bob Dylan, they had Billie Holiday in the day, I thought they had the history, and again, that I could just be myself more and also get the promotion and not have to do as much selling my soul. They had Jeff Buckley, he came after me, but still, that was who they were then.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so what happens is it's always great in the very, very beginning, but pretty soon they start saying, we love you, but we're going to change you. And then I fought so much on that first album. I fought even to have my songs not be rewritten by people. I fought to have the producer lay off and let me just have all of it. And luckily my producer was great, Rick Chertoff, and he understood what we were trying to do, and he was my teammate, and he was working very hard because he worked at Sony. Rick Chertoff was an A&R guy. He worked very hard to keep them away from me in the studio. So that was a very pure record. But then you know what happened? The second record, they said, you can't work with Rick Chertoff again. You didn't sell enough records over our dead body, and they tried to get, again, you don't look right. You shouldn't be who you are. How could you say that those things in the press? You sound like crap on stage. All of it. It was just picking you apart. Like from the beginning when they say don't ever change, then by the second album they want you to change everything, and you're just a total failure if you don't sell platinum. Selling gold wasn't enough. You have to be super. So then the shame, no artist can block that out because everything about you is wrong. And usually by that, you're young and you don't have real friends because everyone around you is a user, a la Whitney Houston. You don't have any barometer to say, maybe they're right, maybe, I'm not as good. And then you compare yourself to other artists and you're never going to live up to Joni Mitchell, and Laura Nyro. So it's like you lose your total identity. It is such a fight. So anyway, by the third album, when they said, we're going to erase you completely, you can put out this album, but you can't have the banjo, you can't write those songs yourself, you can't. I just said, screw you, because you know what? I'd rather just be a dishwasher than have zero identity and then want to kill myself. Because, you know what? Even when you're young, you don't realize who you are. But when you start to get who you are in inklings, you realize it is life and death. And that's why people do kill themselves. By the way, look at Whitney Houston. It's no joke.
Right.
What happens to people. It's no joke what happens not only just to artists, but if you can't be who you are, this has happened throughout time with human beings, if you really can't be who you are, like St. Thomas of Aquinas said, if you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. If you don't bring it forth, it will kill you.
Yes.
He wasn't just talking about, artists.
And it's interesting what you have to say about shame, because, artists have enough shame as it is.
Right.
And, and it really, just hearing you talk about what it's like to work with a record label, it all sounds so manipulative.
It's true. And then you think about it, because everyone works their whole life to get that deal. And the truth is, when you get the deal is when the problems start. And I bet you that's similar in a lot of businesses. But that's when the problems start. And the joy kind of goes out of it, because you're in fight mode all the time.
You're second-guessing yourself, and you're saying, well, this opportunity might never come along again.
Right. And you're right, it won't. And that's another thing. Even David Bowie said that. I didn't realize that at the time, but you kind of know it in your soul. It's like you have to be a warrior, and you have to accept that you have to wear all this armor, and also that is going to change you in a lot of ways, and it's going to take a long, long time to find people you can trust. And then you have to find out over a long period of time, and that's why longevity is so important. Look how many people with gifts destroy themselves.
And why do you think that? You think that it really comes down, again, to shame?
Yeah.
And to feeling unworthy? To feeling worthless?
Yes. And, there's a great phrase that preachers use. You want to be mastered by the master. God, of course. Well, Whitney Houston is my example. I think she was mastered by the master. In those moments where she sang the national anthem, and many moments, she was completely a channel. And you know what happens when you're that open is you're a channel for the devil, too. And I think that we have to start recognizing that someone of that talent, that kind of transcendent talent, where no human being can live up to their talent like that they're going to be susceptible to the dark forces as much as the light is coming through them.
You have said that the one thing you believe in, of everything there is to believe in, God, angels, past lives, metaphysical experiences, the one thing you believe in is creativity.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah, that's the truth, because no matter what I'm saying here, we're talking about sort of the past. We can make our future every day, every moment, and that's creative, and that's our gift. Our gift is creativity. And that's why I love when people tap into it, like the law of attraction, and they talk about someone else's reality is not really your reality. We react to it and respond to it, but we don't want to take it on as our truth. The thing is, creativity is the truth. And I love that, because we all have our own truth, but it doesn't come out dogmatically. And that's why all these politicians, they make you crazy. They make me crazy because you know that they're trying to say something to go to the lowest common denominator to get most people to trust them when they're completely should not be trusted. And they know that. And they're not really creative thinkers, except for some of them are, but they'll never win. Because creativity means constantly being in the present, and it's so rare. And yet people are trying to sell you the truth. Oh, no, no, no. You can only get the truth from yourself by having a really authentic response. And you go, I just got an idea. That's the truth. Not that thing that they're trying to say is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why even when you're talking about creativity, I'm not afraid of religion. In fact, I really love religion because when I hear preachers talking or anybody, I don't think, oh, they have the answer. I always think, hey, that's an interesting idea, and then I get another idea. And to me, that's what the point of religion is. The point of religion is not to enslave you into these rules and regulations and shame. The point really is, and I believe if Jesus lived, this would be his point. The point is to trigger your mind into thinking really high thoughts, to keep going to the next level, because the higher you are, the more love and, what's the word for other people? I guess love.
Mm-hmm.
Love and inspiration, because tolerance isn't even high enough. When you really love people and you're really in your own zone, no one can bother you, really. You think everyone's just interesting, and wow, look at that.
Yeah.
It's not about them, it's about you.
Yeah. That we all are inherently creative is a universal truth, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It's a spiritual...
That's why we all have our own truth, and it all goes together. There's an incredible harmony that way.
It's inspiring, and I know exactly what you're saying about religion, and I appreciate hearing someone say that because it gets a bad rap. And when I'm feeling especially cynical, I will bash religion, and yet there's so much insight to be gleaned from so many different teachers out there.
Right.
That help us look within in a new way.
That's the thing. And, we have to be tricked and triggered. I love, like I said, hearing a preacher here and there, or, phrases from the Bible always get me. And it's interesting because there's nothing different between Buddhism and Christianity. It's all about letting go and letting God, and being still enough to hear the message. The message is obviously coming from your own voice, your own existence. Our existence, everyone's existence is so important. And this goes to the whole thing about abortion and blah, blah, blah. People aren't sophisticated enough, and I'm including myself in this, at any age to know what to do with someone else or another person's existence. And that's why I wish that these things weren't laws, because we don't know. Nobody really knows. Is that a soul? Is that not a soul? Because when you look at everybody who's here, you go, wow, well, what if they weren't here? Mm-hmm. It's really hard to separate. And having had a child, too, I go, well, I know his soul was here before he was here because I met his soul. That's why I got pregnant. I was talking to him before he was even in my body. I'm telling you, these when you really start going to it, you go, how can we politicize all these issues? Because we're not really talking about the real thing. We're just talking about ways to divide and conquer, basically.
Right.
We're not talking about the real soul.
Yeah, it's very superficial. It's on a very superficial black and white level.
Right, and it's tragic. It's tragic for most people who get, you just have to be so tough to survive, because if you really do have to deal with things like that, like people yelling and screaming about abortion or whatever, but the only people I ever really want to hear from are people who have had abortions. I want to listen about it and stuff. So anyways, all I'm saying is that I get so intense about being an activist, but then I step back and go, we're just trying to move things forward a little bit, but we're really never talking about, like we just talked about, the spiritual truth of the matter.
I heard something recently that was really amazing. I think it was a Buddhist teacher. I think it was the Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron who said,
I love her.
Me too. And I think she said something about how activism can